So Bernie Madoff stole $65 billion from the United States of America. How did he do it? It's called a Ponzi scheme. A Ponzi scheme is a draft war between buyers, and more buyers in a chartered, systematic distribution of wealth that does nothing for any individual but loses their entire principal by replacing another's entire principal. And that goes on continuously. So Bernie Madoff stole $65 billion and is in jail for 115 years for life. And he's going to die in prison. And, you know, Bernie was, he was actually the chairman of NASDAQ once upon a time. And he actually claimed to the public that the federal government is, proclaimed to subsidize assets and artificially price assets, all in the same formula of quantitative easing. So I'm going to just briefly and bluntly follow up with this thought by saying that although, yes, Bernie Madoff stole billions and billions of dollars from people's entire savings accounts, from people's pension savings, from endowments, from the whole 9 yards, the federal government, inside of 6 months, has wasted $4 trillion. That's with a T. That's with a T. $4 trillion.
Big T.
The big T. Not a B, a T. Just to be clear. So I don't hear anybody complaining about the Fed taking any money. But I heard when, of course, Bernie got arrested, it was all over the news. Everybody knew how much money the man stole from the central system. And, his advisory firm was a fraud, and everybody who's everybody on Main Street and Wall Street heard of the man. Everybody idolized him. Everybody praised him. And yet everybody fell victim to his Ponzi scheme. And just like the Federal Reserve, just like the federal government, the entire United States has fallen victim in a very blindingly way to the federal government. A very small group of people are aware of this situation. So I thought it was very appropriate to introduce this in this video. And what I think what we'll be doing throughout this video, what we have planned, is just going around the line here and talking about different topics of importance. But before any of that, we kind of want to introduce ourselves. So I guess I'll start by briefly introducing myself. Right, so I didn't even say my name is Max. I'm the co-founder, my co-founder sitting right next to me, of Finance Nerds. And it is primarily aimed to educate the entire world, not just financial communities, but the entire world on what is the truth and what is important to idealize for your future growth and your future potential. So we provide these, ways of thinking, these strategies of implementation even in financial markets that enable persons to achieve whatever they so desire based on their merits, based on their standards. It's up to them. I trade for myself, I invest for myself, and I have an investment club currently going, which is really fun and exciting, and it's just starting up and it's going to be great. I guess that's all I really want to share for now. Who wants to go up next, fellas?
I can start it off. Well, I'm Ethan, also a co-founder here for Finance Nerds. And, you know, as Max said, there's a minority of people going on in this time that understand, you know, the reality of, you know, the way things are going. And most people aren't prepared for types of actions that are being taken right now to figure out how to solve the economic issues in the world. So, you know, we're here to educate you guys on, you know, the right view, the truth, because that's what we're here for. What's it going on?
Chris, I guess residential bum and also an options trader on the side. Perhaps a bum because I'm an options trader. And that's pretty much all I have to say.
Trey, and I've tried to trade but haven't been too successful, so that's why I'm here sitting next to these three right here so I could learn along with you guys on how to be successful.
I have to say I traded and invest as well. I forgot to mention that.
I thought it was a good idea to initiate a proposition where we mutually benefit from each other. And basically what I'm trying to say is I'm going to basically initiate a process of asking everybody here, us four, me included, questions pertaining to why the federal government is doing the things they are doing that is causing such burdening disasters, especially for the long term. And even right now, people just don't see it, nor do they understand the situation. So guys, I guess the best way to start about this is to ask, and I guess I'll start. I guess I'll start with my first response. And the question is the United States really, you know, there's been a lot of media coverage and initiation on whether the United States individually, right? We have over 5 million coronavirus cases. We've been the #1 state containing, you know, we're basically said to have performed very poorly in terms of responding to coronavirus and the spread of it, and relative to other countries, of course. And, you know, we've let it grow and grow and grow due to, you know, our individual state governments proceeding towards different directions, and ultimately a whole lot of other things. And that's kind of what I want to start discussing here, is what real, you know, what are the real causes here? And we're not talking about the federal government just yet. We're going to get into the monetary proposition of this problem very shortly in the next question probably. But for now, I want to focus on what are the immediate causes that you know, have made Corona 6 months later, right? We've been dealing with this since February, January. And still, we're facing with the same proposition here, which is essentially, you know, a national quarantine. And yes, obviously states have opened up, but it's just, you know, things obviously are not the same. Things are just not the same, and people are at social unrest. There's complete civil unrest throughout the entire nation. And it looks as though the entire world even is coming to an end. So I'd like to, you know, understand from each and every one of you, what are the trigger points here? So maybe Ethan, you want to start here, and then we'll just.
What are the trigger points for?
What are the trigger points for? causes of coronavirus to continue to spread 6 months later.
Well, the trigger points.
Because if you look at countries like Taiwan, if you look at countries like, all of these other countries that have completely altered from the spread of coronavirus, right? They've completely contained the situation.
Yeah.
Apparently, China hasn't had a goddamn case in months, but obviously they're fraudulent, so we're not going to go there right now.
We discussed the China situation today, actually. And, I don't know. The trigger points are probably that people are stupid. People don't understand what we're dealing with. And they don't understand that the world, if we don't act in a certain way, well, the world is going to take a toll economically because nothing can be the same with coronavirus. Our life is going to be changed forever. And the reality of it, the truth, what's really true, is that our society has changed. And if we don't change our behavior and open our eyes up to what's truly going on and, wear our masks and not do stupid shit,
And it's mostly the kids, right? It's mostly the
it's kids, it's people our age who, who don't care. But it's, younger than us too. Whoever. We're not kids, but I don't know. There's a lot of trigger points.
But do you think our kids are incentivized to care? Do you think people our age are incentivized to care?
Probably not, because they're low risk, but they are negligent to the other people around them.
Yeah, I
Spread it to.
somewhat agree with that, but let's say in a college environment where you're only around college students, do you think people are going to be prone to care?
I think people are probably going to be less prone to care than if they were hanging out at their family's house, during the summer,
I agree.
I know you guys haven't been here for long, but I've already seen some people that have been moved in here having parties already and everything.
Yeah.
So do you think that there was a spike, I believe, in the schools in the South, right, where they have all the bars open and all the clubs open, in Miami. Yeah, Miami, Tampa, all those places, right? They have all those. They don't give us a single thing about Corona. So do you think that kids are more looking towards that type of lifestyle and they're just having house parties here and not caring about it and just they have bars open in Florida, might as well have a house party here?
I think that mostly, maybe it'll be the seniors, people our age,
last year,
who are just everything's been so normal our whole time, so fuck it.
Yeah.
But, I think the younger people that don't know too much about college life, I think they're probably going to treat it more respectable, you could say. But then again, I don't know. Depending on what school you go to and how many people are there and what the situation is, who knows? Who knows what it's like?
I have a question. What are your views on the stimulus checks happening now? I'm personally a person who's been living off of the stimulus checks as if in my job because my mom was high exposed to Corona and all that. So I've been living off stimulus checks. What do you guys think about it?
Well, I think that there are certain situations where it's necessary, and I think that the stimulus checks are probably like the unemployment, and that's what you're discussing, all that. I think that in this type of circumstance, although that it may raise the rate of inflation and put the country in more debt, I think that it was probably the right thing to do, because if people can't afford to eat and stuff, over this stuff, it's the country's already printing so much money, they might as well give everybody $1,000, and unemployment if you lost your job. And
do you think they should pass the second CARES Act that we're trying to pass?
I don't know. I think that, 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 I think that I haven't looked too much into it, but I think that they should pass another act where maybe they give you less money. I don't think that people should be making more money on unemployment than they made at their job, because that's just not right.
Yeah, I think that Jersey was supposed to try to pass where they did 400 a week or something like that. Is that 600 a week?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's more fair. Like, you shouldn't, be on unemployment and not want to go back to work, because that's a problem. We don't want people who want to just abuse the system.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, there's definitely like some perverse incentives with unemployment because of the fact that, like, in so many states, like, your minimum wage is like $10, $11. So like, if you're making $600 a week off of unemployment, then you're making like more money off of unemployment than you're making working a 40-hour job.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
40-hour.
100%.
Yeah,
I literally was
job.
making more off unemployment than working at a smoke shop.
Mhm.
For
Well,
sure.
Exactly.
It's double.
Because
It's
you
crazy.
you were making money. You were, the way unemployment works. You collect unemployment. Well, this unemployment, the way this one works is you collect unemployment from your employer because they have a pool of money that they dedicate towards unemployment,
Yeah.
and then there's the federal bonus that which is $600
That's
more
600
bucks,
and that's
which-
1,200.
flat line across the board. I know people that work part time made like $100 a week, and they're making fucking $600 a week because it's federal. But I think that they should detail it more. Like, okay, this was your job, you made this much, so we're gonna keep you up at that rate.
Yeah.
I don't think it should be like, okay, you have no incentive to go want to work anymore. You're just gonna play the game of scamming the system. But in this type of situation, I do believe that
It's
it's
like,
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. No, go ahead.
well, I was just gonna say it's a world pandemic, so you gotta have to kind of have some humanity for the people that live day
I
to
totally,
day.
I totally agree with you, but like, I'm not at all implying that like I can impose some like sort of like perfect solution or anything, but like, don't you think there should be like some type of limit? You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like something like maybe like, let's say 3 months to 6 months
Yeah.
or so, where you like have to get a job, otherwise you're basically cut off of the
Yes,
unemployment.
yes.
Like, I feel like there should be a deadline to it. Because that's just like the one thing that I like, at least from what I've heard, there isn't some sort of thing like that. And that's why, like, I mean, I 100% think that there should be some type of social safety net, but I think that our government is so like misutilizing it. You know what I mean?
yeah, I
and
agree.
and I feel like there should just be more like different like incentivizations for like people to have to like get back on a track to work or making more income
You're
to
right.
be able to stay on a certain type of welfare or something like that.
You're absolutely right. They have to figure it out. They can't just give people money forever.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in the free market, the invisible hand. And right now we're going against that theory and idea. We're just giving everybody free money to survive. And
I mean, but I genuinely do think some people need like financial assistance. Like, I think if you were like,
I agree with this.
if you're a woman who's like a single mother,
Yeah,
let's say,
exactly.
and
can't
you
really
have
work,
like a
can't
child
have
or
that.
something like
Yeah,
that, and like,
what else?
you're just working like some type of minimum wage job, like let's say you've only graduated high school or haven't even graduated high school. I don't know what your situation is like. I do think that like there should be some type of system in place to be able to help you like advance.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that right now is a peculiar situation that we haven't faced much in the world. So I think it's granted to give some help to
I agree.
who's warranted.
I agree.
I
But I just think that the incentives are just like kind of mixed up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you're not always going to get it right the first time. They've never really dealt with anything like this before. And so I think that maybe if they do pass the second CARES Act, that maybe it would be in
But don't you think they haven't been getting it right for years? Like, I'm talking decades, government.
Yeah, I'm talking,
Because like
you're
we're so
right.
much in debt.
Don't get me started about that. I mean, you're right. We already print. The reason I'm kind of like I'm not okay with them printing money, but I understand the humanity behind it. You know what I mean? I understand why they would do it.
Of course.
We're already printing so much, putting ourselves so much in debt because we have the fake money system that, who cares?
But eventually that currency is going to mean nothing.
No, you're right. I agree.
You can
That's-
print as
they
much
can't.
of it
But
as,
that's
much of
their
it as you
attitude.
want, but eventually there's going to be a limiting point where
They're
you reach and as much as you want to print, it's not going to matter.
no, you're right. You're right. The Federal Reserve's
Unsustainable.
attitude towards it is, who cares what we do right now? The people after us will have to deal with it, and that's not a great situation when that's going to really hurt our economy and our way of life. But that's why we're here. We're here to talk about these things and help you understand what you can do to prepare yourselves for, the way the world is turning. Because,
All right, so like, what can you do to prepare about that?
well, I mean, if they're printing money like left and right to save everybody, all right, fine. They're printing extreme amounts of money. So what do we do? Like Max loves, buy gold. Gold is money, and the dollar bill is currency. So the dollar bill is fake, and gold is used in medicine and technology, and it's in the computer processing chips, and it's in airplanes, it's in everything. People like it on their shit, it's expensive, whatever. That's a real money. Currency is the dollar bills. If you ever think about it, think about over time how money's worked. How did we start? When my dad was little, he always talked about how he could go to the store with like 25 cents and buy a candy bar, like a Fudgicle, like a can of soda, like a bag of chips. Like his 25 cents was like $15 for me. You know what I mean? So what did we start with? We started with pennies. We started with nickels. We started with dimes. We went to quarters, and then once the change was, we couldn't find enough metal to deal with the amount of currency that we needed. What did we do? We started printing dollars backed by gold, and then we realized, well, we have so many people, we need so much money that we have to disconnect that from the gold. And so they printed more and more dollars. And if you really look at the modern age now, what do we have? We have digital money. We have cards. We don't actually use physical cash because there's so much money out there in the world now that they can't print enough cash. It's all credit and debit, So that's the way the world has turned. It's gone from 5 cents was $5 to now $5 is going to be $50. And it's all digital money, and the transactions are no cash and physical. And what my point is, over time, we've seen that the inflation of money has progressed a lot.
Yeah, and part of that is like the transference from like the gold standard to fiat currency.
Yeah.
The ability for government to just be able to manipulate currency to what they desire the value of products to be.
Absolutely.
And be able to use their Federal Reserve or whatever to lower interest rates and stuff like that to basically artificially inflate the economy in times of bad economic periods.
Yeah.
So
they're stimulating it.
It's definitely unsustainable, and we're definitely headed to something new, which is why like gold is a great option. But I also feel like, I mean, not to say that like cryptocurrency 100% is like the future of currency, but I do think that it presents a vast amount of opportunity, and I feel like that's also something that's like an alternative to like current fiat currency, whether it's dollars or
Possibly,
any type of like.
but I don't know. I've never been a cryptocurrency person in my defense of it. I don't know. You really think that it could take over the dollar?
I mean, the aspect
Like,
to
what
me
do
that I
you
like
buy?
the most is
When you buy
that
crypto, what are you buying? Sorry to interrupt you.
what Bitcoin and Ethereum mostly.
Yeah, but what are you buying? When you buy that, what are you buying? What are you buying? The physical thing behind it.
I'm buying a decentralized currency that I feel has the technological capabilities to have a lot more applications, and also the ability that the fact that it's decentralized is an appealing aspect to global citizens. I think that the economy over time will become more globalized, and I don't think that any type of currency particular to a country is going to last. And I believe that that's true because of the fact that it's fiat currency. Something like Bitcoin is something where the actual currency will be limited to a certain amount. And as more and more people adopt that technology and more people allow it to be a payment system, then the more it will be valuable.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. I feel like that the crypto you're buying right now, I can see that in a globalized whole world economy situation where everybody, and I see the appeal, but how do you know if you want to buy Bitcoin or the other one you said, or the 12 other things that people just created?
There will be different currencies, but at least they'll all be decentralized. And
Yeah. But what's the driving fundamental factors behind it?
Do you think stores will take Bitcoin as like a
I think the
transaction?
Hmm?
Do you think stores will start taking Bitcoin in the future as a form of transaction?
storage.
I mean, like stores, like 7-Eleven, like
I think it will become more and more active as like different companies allow cryptocurrency to be either transferred to dollars, or the more that dollars become devalued, allow just straight Bitcoin to Bitcoin transactions. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
And to answer like your question, like I feel like the actual like technology of like cryptocurrency, the fact that it's decentralized, the fact that like it allows like a huge ledger of like all the different transactions and the history behind each coin to basically like verify that it's an actual legitimate cryptocurrency, has applications to other different like apps and like technology websites and stuff like that. You could basically like use like cryptocurrencies and stuff like that to like create smart contracts and use them in like legal documents. Like I feel like it has other applications that allow it to like surpass just being a currency.
maybe I can see that in the future, but I don't know. I take it back to the driving fundamental forces
Of value.
of it's
But like what is value to you? Like a fiat currency, what is the dollar to you?
so yeah. So
Like why is the dollar valuable?
to explain it from my perspective, and the question I'm kind of asking is that what are the fundamental drivers of what the Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency is that it's really just a willingness of people to pay for it. And well, in our world, for us living in America, the dollar is that's what we use. That's what we use. So we all want to make dollars. We all want to be rich.
So is the dollar only valuable because of its relevancy in terms of transactions?
Well, so the dollar
Like, is the dollar only valuable because you can go to a store and use dollars to purchase something?
the dollar is ranks top in the world because most people will accept dollars almost everywhere. But the thing is, the dollar, like you're saying, is not even the best. There's money and there's currency, and the dollar's currency, and the money's like gold. The
Do you
gold
control
is
dollar?
What's that?
Do you control dollars?
No, we don't control
Do you
dollars.
control the money supply?
No, we don't. Right now, I believe cash is trash.
Exactly.
Cash
So,
is
like-
trash because they're
So like
they're printing
the
shit on
only
fist.
reason you value the dollar is because you can use it as a terms of exchange.
Yeah, that's it.
Is that why?
You're right. You're
So
right.
then what gives it its value other than the fact that you can use it as a term
Well,
of exchange?
Here's my theory on it, bringing it back to the crypto. There's so many more dollars and so many people in this world that would want the dollars over the crypto. You know what I mean? You feel me?
Right now.
Right now,
Right
yes.
now.
But even in the grand
But like
scheme of
the
things,
only
do
thing
cryptos have
that's
stock
giving the
splits?
dollars
Do they have
is
stock
that
splits? Like how's it going to work? Like is one Bitcoin going to? When more people want Bitcoin,
Yeah.
okay. How many Bitcoins are there? Who controls
there's going
it?
to be like 42 million, I believe.
All I'm saying is that basically the crypto is going to turn the crypto will turn into a fiat currency.
I'm
correct?
sorry, guys. Trey just made me laugh. Go on.
I mean, it won't turn into fiat
It would,
currency
though.
due to the fact that like you can inflate dollars to whatever amount you want it to be.
Well, yeah, that's why we're saying we should.
Like
have
the
gold.
government,
We should all buy gold.
the
Do
government,
you agree
just
we
like
should
you
buy
were,
gold?
just exactly
yeah.
because it's a limited amount,
Yeah.
factored by the fact
Yeah,
that
it's
that,
like
that
land.
it has to be
Land.
mined, right?
Yeah.
But Bitcoin is the same thing because of the fact that it's going to have a limited amount.
But I feel like it won't because we all thought the dollar would have a limited amount being attached to gold.
Bitcoin can have a natural inflation because of the fact that it has a limited amount.
Maybe,
It
but
could.
you know, I don't disagree. I just think that the dollar will always be most powerful, even if we inflate it.
You really think the dollar will always be the most powerful? Because I think the
our
dollar
life.
is done in 20 to 30 years.
I think in our lifetime they'll recuperate it, but I think that smart people will buy the gold so that their dollar, think about it like this. Comparative to the rest of the world's economies, America, and then you got China behind us, the dollar is very powerful, even if we inflate the heck out of it, okay?
Dollar's still the most powerful currency.
It will
I'm not
be.
denying that.
Even after we inflate the heck out of it, it will probably
But
still be
I'm
the
just
most
saying that
demanded
the
currency.
dollar has some serious flaws
Yeah,
that
no,
are
don't-
starting to
don't get me
expose its
wrong.
cracks.
You're right.
And I think that the cracks will start to become too large in 10 to 15 years
yeah.
to the point where we'll have to seek an alternative. People
Yes.
will not like the gold standard
Well-
because they're not going to be sophisticated enough to understand it. And I think naturally people will move to Bitcoin because of the fact that it's a limited supply chain. It's a new technology. It has applications to
Maybe.
different technological
Maybe, but I
usabilities.
think
And I think that will eventually take over, and that will become the currency of the future.
maybe you're not wrong. It could be possible. It could be plausible.
Listen, I'm just for investing for cryptocurrencies and gold right now
Yeah, gold.
because
I'm
I think
happy
both
for.
of them are safe bets.
Yeah.
Because I think gold is guaranteed to produce a rate of return superior to like
Yeah,
the dollar
of course.
and other
cash.
currencies.
Yes.
And but at the same time, I love cryptocurrency as like the kind of like wild bet that like I really feel like it could potentially
See, this is.
potentially replace currency.
But the way I see it is this: the dollar's kind of always been around. It's everywhere. The smart people will buy gold so that when I buy $10,000 in gold and I sell it in 20 years for whatever the rate may be, let's say it's $200,000 in gold, $1 million in gold, whatever the hell it is,
Or
whatever the
what,
dollar,
ounce.
yeah, whatever, a couple ounces, whatever. Let's say I take a large sum of money and I buy gold. What I'm saying is the smart people will buy the gold so that the gold holds the value of their money, and then they can transfer their gold back into currency at the inflated nominal rate that it is. Makes sense? So I believe that although cryptocurrency may start to blow up, I don't think it will blow up to the point where it doesn't overpower the dollar. I think the dollar will be inflated, but the intelligent people will buy gold to
Do you
hold
think
the
that
dollar's
the
buying
dollar
power.
will give you a better rate of return over the next 30 years versus a large cryptocurrency like, let's say, Bitcoin?
Probably.
You think
Over
that
30 years.
Over 30
Yes.
years, do you think the dollar will give you a better
If
rate
you
of
said
return?
maybe
Really?
if you said maybe 200 years, I would say maybe crypto.
You think it's that long?
30 years.
You think it's that long?
Yeah. Dude, think about how much money's out there.
That's where you and I are like fundamentally different, I guess. You know what I mean?
I do agree with your point about
I
digital.
think the dollar is
currency.
absolutely
I
chosen.
wanted to just.
I gotta use the bathroom real quick, but go ahead. I'm listening.
In the meantime, because I definitely want to. This is an interesting debate here pertaining to our world's reserve currency as it has been for the better part of 50 years. And it's been proven, me personally, it's been proven to be nothing but a disaster,
Yep.
right? The US dollar. In fact, it's been doing nothing but losing purchasing power to each and every
Yep.
single individual taxpayer in this
It's not
country.
been necessarily losing purchasing power, I want to say, just because of the rise of technological innovation. Like,
That's where the
you can
federal
buy-
government comes in,
yeah,
because
you
they're
can
inflating
buy
the asset
you can buy
base.
much better like technology than you could, like, let's say 60 years ago. but like nonetheless, the dollar as a fiat currency isn't unsustainable.
Absolutely. Now,
They're
the
all
primary
fiat.
difference between the U.S. if we were to directly compare the U.S. dollar to gold, to physical gold, it's very simple. There's a thing called use value, and use value in gold is far more superior. The U.S. dollar doesn't have any use value. It has nothing. The only value it has is its currency status for transactions, and that is only based on lending growth. If there's no lending growth, then there's no sustainability in the dollar. There's no room for growth in the dollar. If there's no lending that the commercial banks are performing near below nominal inflation, all consumer prices are getting lower while actual asset prices are getting higher. There's clear divergences throughout our entire financial system that are clear indicators that our our federal government is in tears. They're in desperation mode right now. Because if you heard in Powell's last speech, he claimed that obviously we predicted, very, very correctly, that Powell was just going to claim, yeah, we'll let inflation go higher. We can let it go higher. But yet they've been troubling to get over 2% for the better part of 20 years. So now they can automatically go to 3% like that. It doesn't make sense. He's bluffing. He's lying. There's nothing left to say. But he's saying false lies to the public so they can go buy their bonds to gain confidence in the FANG stocks, because that's the only thing that's most weighted in these major indexes. And when the bonds go higher, the yields will be so low that purchasing power for commercial banks will be much higher. And everything in terms of lending growth, from everything into commercial banks and the cycle of the Federal Reserve, will ultimately accumulate in entire desperation. The Fed will keep needing liquidity because their liquidity is automatically losing its own value. That's the problem here, is the more dollars the Fed prints, the more they're actually spending on the dollar. And because they have these stupid socialist programs that they're spending these dollars on, and they have nothing better to spend it on, except what they should be spending is reinvestment in productivity of the economy, but they shouldn't even be spending in the first place. That's the problem. We have had a huge, that's why we have these trillions and trillions of dollars in deficits and budget and trade deficits, alongside with a trade balance, a Federal Reserve balance sheet of over $7 trillion. Yeah, it's been contracting lately, but the only reason is because the Fed has lost its players. There's nowhere left to go.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
So like, let's say Bitcoin, there's a fixed amount, right? And you're early to Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
Like you own a lot of Bitcoin just because like you were early to the fact that like you thought this was going to be the future of currency, right? Now all of a sudden you have countries like the United States and China. Their fiat currency is valueless, and they're looking to purchase a new currency. And there's a ton of citizens who own like Bitcoin and other different cryptocurrencies, right? Let's say it's a fixed amount. Like if these countries start purchasing it, all of a sudden these citizens start becoming quite wealthy.
Yeah, totally. Mm-hmm. Totally.
So
the problem
just simply as a factor of supply and demand. So like,
yeah.
I don't know. Don't you just think that could potentially be the future?
Yes,
Like,
but that is the future. But the problem is they're not getting wealth. They're actually just deteriorating their own wealth in the long term, because the more currency, more Bitcoin, for example, that they're making use of, that they're accumulating over time, they have to pay a tax on it somehow. They have to compensate for what they own. What they bought, they have to pay for.
How?
Through inflation, through a variety
but
of
like, the thing is like with Bitcoin specifically, there is going to be a fixed amount.
Yeah, but just
so
like,
eventually they are just going to stop making Bitcoin. So let's just say hypothetically, you were just like Bitcoin is the future, and you hoarded a fuck ton of Bitcoin.
I feel like it's
all right. But let me ask you.
You don't think
Because
that
of the different creations of cryptocurrencies?
No, I just think that even if you had one crypto, the demand for it wouldn't allow it to be $100 million per share. It would have to be diluted to the point where the average consumer could demand it. What do you think on that?
But what do you mean? It would be limited, so like it would be
Yeah, but
whatever
it's-
the demand is for it.
Okay, but let's say this. It's like a stock. The float or shares outstanding is only so many. And there's billions of people in this world. They can't drive the price up to the point where only the 1% can afford it. Or not even 1%, the mega wealthy.
Like, what if Bitcoin's price per one Bitcoin was like $200,000?
I'm not saying that, but like
Then at that point, though, the demand has driven it so far high up in the air that the average person can't consume it. So what needs to be happening?
that
It
was
needs to dilute so that more
But
money
it will
flows into
always
it.
be able to dilute just due to the fact
But-
that there will be a fixed amount.
Well, but the price, there's always the inflation of the price. If the price is too high, if us individuals can't buy Bitcoin, then
The
it only
dilution
helps
of
the rich
price,
people.
like for example, like I'd be able to sell, let's say, instead of 0.001% of Bitcoin, 0.00000000001% of Bitcoin, which is just a smaller dilution.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is this: is that if Bitcoin
So
if Bitcoin is $8,000 a coin today, all right, or whatever it is,
Yeah.
all right,
And then it goes up to $120,000.
yeah. What I'm
My
saying
point
is,
is that
people don't
you'll
have
just be-
120 to throw
Yeah, but
into.
you'll just be able to buy a fraction of a Bitcoin.
Yes, but the Bitcoin.
But at least it won't be controlled by
What
the
I'm saying,
government.
what I'm saying is, why do they have stock splits? Because they want more funding.
I know.
They want more. They want when Tesla's up at
This is
5,000
different,
a
though.
share, they split it 10
This is
times, so
different,
it's
though.
500 a share.
This is different though. Dude, with so many different brokerage companies now, you can invest in fractional shares.
No, I know. But,
So that's what I'm basically talking about.
but what
Why
I'm,
can't you?
you
Why can't you?
you can, but what I'm saying is that if there's only 100 million Bitcoin in the world,
I think it's 42 million.
all right, so if
I
there's
could be
only
wrong.
42 million Bitcoin in the world, and 2 billion people want Bitcoin, how's that gonna work? And they're willing to pay to drive it up to $500,000
The
a
42
Bitcoin.
million will be divided by the 2 billion.
Yes, but what if they're willing to drive it up to the point where no one can afford buying it? That's what I'm saying. Is they have to. They'll have to
It won't
dilute
work
it
like
at
that
some point.
because you'll always be able to sell fractional shares. Like there will always be someone on the market where like if
No,
there are
but-
more people demanding Bitcoin and it rises 10% in price, there will be some people who are like, word, that's a profit for me. So I'm going to sell my Bitcoin and then just use it to like buy other shit. And then it rises another 10%, there will be more people willing to sell it.
So I understand the psychological natures behind it, and as well as the
I'm just talking about
fractional
global.
shares.
I'm just talking about global currency.
Well,
That's
yeah, but if you
regardless
want
of
to
country.
see, that's the thing is, I see it as this. Right now, the globalized currency, for the most part, is the U.S. Maybe China's gaining on us, but the U.S. is probably in the lead. And all I'm saying is this: that the demand for the dollar will probably be more than Bitcoin because it's already been so established. Maybe in our lifetimes, like I said, in 30 years, I think the dollar will hold supreme. But the dollar is being highly inflated, and that's why I
I'm
suggest
telling you, I don't even
euros
think that yet.
Supreme right now.
I think gold is
I think
supreme.
that like China's been shown to be buying a ton of Bitcoin and been trying to developing their Bitcoins like themselves. Not Bitcoin, sorry, like just cryptocurrencies and shit themselves.
I think
They've
gold
been
is
buying
what you need to buy.
cryptocurrency.
You need to buy what's useful.
I
Yes,
wanted
but
to.
I think the U.S. dollar demand will be the highest. Go ahead.
I wanted to just kind of transition here. Somewhat related of a question for you two, including myself, which I'll just answer following the question. So with the following information, the average net short position in the US dollar right now has never been higher, okay? The net average long position in the euro has never been hired. Okay? And this, by the way, is strictly in regards to hedge funds and their purchasing power. So clearly there's, and obviously with the Fed loading up on mortgage-backed securities, along with, of course, the loan and behold United States Treasury bonds and notes. The Fed loves their notes. But really those notes are nothing but exchangeable pieces of paper that have a written promise on it that doesn't necessarily fulfill what it promises. The FDIC was made for collateralized insurance for your deposit. And yet there's a contradictory issue that lies upon each and every person in this country. And that is very simple. When you deposit $1 into the federal government, they will spend at least 65% of that dollar. Okay? They will spend 65% of that dollar on things like we've discussed, socialist programs. There's no reason that the government should be intervening on higher taxes, on literally stealing everybody's wealth that they've earned, that they've generated in income from their jobs. It doesn't make sense. It's not fair. What the government should only be taxing is consumption. Okay, it makes much more sense to tax on spending and consumption than it is to spend on actual earnings, on income.
Well, you know, income taxation pretty much mostly started with like funding wars and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, but we also use treasuries to
And
fund
then
World War I.
basically,
And then
we just like started to ramp up income taxing more and more throughout the wars that we funded, and then we never stopped.
I mean, why
Because
did
we had debts too.
I mean, disposable income rates were 90% and fucking just before World War I.
So like, if you really think about it, like income tax is kind of unconstitutional.
I totally agree.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
It's entirely unconstitutional.
Yeah.
Basically every tax, every single
Every
thing
tax
the
that's
federal
not
government
on
must
consumption,
propose.
I agree with you that consumption should be taxed, but like,
We need a progressive tax system.
Yeah.
but
We need a
like
progressive
also
tax
like
system.
taxes are funding fiat currencies, which goes back
Yeah.
to my point of
No, totally.
cryptocurrencies.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, like I hate to keep
Crypto.
bringing.
But you
bringing it
really
back
think
now.
that
You love the
Bitcoin
cryptos.
will
I mean, I don't love
gold?
crypto. I just love the fact that like fiat currency is fucked.
Well, I agree. Fiat currency is fucked. If you play your cards right, you can
And do you think
get
people?
more fiat currency to be at the even ground that you want.
Yeah, of course, like modern monetary theory and everything like that. But like, it's just unsustainable. You just can't blow up the numbers until you just feel like stop.
Right.
Like you just can't.
So can
You
I
just
ask you,
can't do
bluntly,
artificial shit.
do you prefer having, say, the world's reserve currency as the US dollar were to be replaced? Would you prefer it to have Bitcoin being replaced? Gold? Some other precious metal?
Just decentralized cryptocurrency.
Cryptocurrency.
Decentralized, yes.
So what's your primary reason behind that? What is the go-to?
The fact that people own it, not like countries.
People own it, not countries. So I'll ask a follow-up question, which is what in relative to gold's use value, like, in aviation and jewelry.
Listen, I totally believe in gold too.
I know you do.
I believe in gold just as much as I do cryptocurrency. My only thing with cryptocurrency is like, it's my bet for the future of currency. Do I believe people are more likely to go back to the gold standard, or do I believe people are more likely to advance to a new type of currency?
Which is more risk.
New type of currency.
It's more risk. It's
Of course.
a whole lot of risk on the government. That's for
But
sure.
I don't think people are more likely to go back to gold standard.
Why? It's been proven to work.
Well,
Because I think there was a reason why people left it in the first place.
there's
I mean,
too
Nixon,
not enough money for the people.
Nixon was the
if you're on
problem.
that staff.
Yeah.
I mean, the only reason why we took it off was
Like we were already
Because we
trying
have
to go off the
international-
gold standard like in like the 1930s and shit. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like during the Great Depression. So like I think like
foreign
I think-
nations were front running us for every single dollar that we generated through our centralized system for the better part
I think
of
we're.
200 years.
I just like. I have this general feeling, honestly, and it doesn't. And I can't even necessarily support it with facts or anything like that. That like we're headed for something new. That we're at this kind of breaking point, and I don't necessarily think that it's a reversion back to what we were doing. I think it's something new.
Do you think the dollar's going to fail?
Yes.
Me too.
How can it not?
Yeah, me too.
How can it not?
How can it not? That's a great question. I challenge anybody to answer.
Like
that.
literally, exactly like you said. I challenge anyone to like to
It's
try to
simple
tell me that
Austrian
it's not.
economics.
It's just absolutely ridiculous that you can basically just manipulate it to you can just like lower interest rates, blow up borrowing, inflate the dollar. Like you can just do whatever you want to it. So like, how can it not fail? How can it not fail?
Don't fight the
How
Fed.
can it not lose value? And for the first time, it is starting to lose value, and the markets are nonetheless going up, and it's just quite frankly ridiculous. So we'll see what happens.
Obviously, we're due for a correction in the stock market. This is 01 all over again.
Yeah.
01 all over again. We know the end game, but we don't know when. We don't know when it's going to happen. Obviously, the bond
October
market tells us
27th.
everything, but the stock market, obviously, like you just said, the Fed has taken full responsibility for the stock market's
The Fed.
performance.
What do you learn in college? Like economics 101, they teach you like, oh, the Fed is independent of the government.
Yeah.
That's what they tell you.
Yeah, independent branch of
Bullshit.
the U.S. government.
Bull fucking
Bullshit
shit.
is right.
Everything's
Bull
bullshit.
fucking shit.
Dude,
That's why fiat
Yeah.
currency does not work.
yes.
They do this.
Exactly. They just print money.
Yeah.
Looks like-
Mr. Lobbyist, fund me $100 million for my next
And
election.
like I said
We're gonna
before,
win.
like I
We're
do
gonna
think
win.
that there deserves to be some type of social safety net, but I do think that it has to incentivize people to try to gradually get back into a working position, or gradually, or literally give people the money to be able to build the skills to get back into more higher paying working positions, whatever it is. But the system is fucked.
agree.
But
Totally rigged.
I don't think fiat currency is the future. I don't
Oh,
think
yeah,
that I don't think that us going back to gold standard is the future. What is the future? Is a cryptocurrency? I don't necessarily know if it is, but it's looking promising to me.
Yeah, I agree. I think the inflation's definitely going to kick up. Crypto is probably going to play a big role in the future. Will it beat the demand of the dollar? Maybe, maybe not. But either way, I mean, what's the smartest thing? You'd agree, probably buy gold. Probably buy what's useful. Probably buy
I would agree by gold, but like also like
maybe a little
I see the
crypto.
dollar becoming fucking ridiculous in the future.
Well,
I literally cannot
Worthless.
cannot comprehend a future where crypto is not more in demand than the dollar. Literally, I think the dollar is shit. I think it is shit. I think it is garbage. Literally, like I'm sorry.
the future.
Like I think it's ridiculous.
Maybe you're right. So
I really
To
do.
end on that note, beautiful
I think
end
the
on that
dollar is
note.
shit.
Yeah,
The
the
dollar
dollar
is
is
shit.
gold and crypto. That's what we come
Gold
to
and
the
crypto is what we've concluded tonight. Yes.
And day trading.
Day trading. So you've heard it here, folks. This is episode 1 of the Finance Nerds podcast series. And we'll be coming to you with a new episode very soon.